there's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.
Now what? Talking about this really. On. Detail. So again, it starts today. Turn 4. Here. Magic Casino. I mean, they're essentially here. Reduced visibility. Drifting across. Goes at about. Out, so our wind. Reports for a moment, or don't enjoy the wind reports. We don't want that to be a factor for you here today, but it is going to be, an issue as far as blowing snow, and again continuing into the possibility for some issues with
Okay, we are switching to a different mic
I'm hoping you can hear me at this point. Um, it looks like my mic is up. I'm gonna, if you bear with me, I'm gonna turn up the volume here to see if I can hear myself. Okay, it's pretty low. Let's see. Okay, can we hear now? Okay, I can hear it. It's a little bit low, but I'll get closer to the microphone here. Looks like we might have to just talk over graphics instead of pointing at things so I can be close to the mic, but it's important that you can hear me. So again, thanks for bearing with me with our technical issues here with our microphones. And we're gonna get back into it. So wind, again, is our enemy today, we'll say, because that wind is going to continue to blow and cause blowing snow. And then in addition to that, we're looking out for the wind also. It's Arctic air that's blowing in out of the north or northwest. So wind that is going to be continuing to drive in Arctic air and bring about not just lower temperatures, but lower wind chills as well. So dealing with all of that here for today. So we are going to track those wind speeds for you as we go through time. I want to pull up, now that it looks like the microphone is working properly, hopefully it is. Let me check our Facebook page and see if we've got any. Oh, thank you, Summer. Okay, thank you so much for giving me that heads up. Appreciate that. And just the others who also chimed in, appreciate that. Okay, so we're on a different mic. This should work better now, and we'll get into the details. So again, I want to take a look at our road conditions really quick as we are dealing with blowing snow yet again. I'm pulling up our website here, and as we take a look at our Valley News Live .com/weather to check that out. You can go to road conditions right at the top. Let's take a look at North Dakota. And we still have a travel alert in northeastern North Dakota. That's this area shaded in that light purple color. So it includes Grand Forks County, Nelson County, up to Walsh and Pembina counties here under that a travel alert. So we're still getting some blowing snow issues. You can see purple on the map, meaning snow covered, scattered snow drifts on the roads, including around Grand Forks. And then over toward Fargo-Moorhead into Cass County, these dashed areas of yellow indicate scattered ice. So again, we are dealing with some blowing snow, and roads just are not nice out there. So easy does it, and that's going to be a problem too if you run into a patch of ice on the road and end up off into the ditch. You're going to be out there in temperatures that are pretty brutal. Of course, we want to remind you to stay with your car if you do end up in some trouble, and hopefully you have a fully charged cell phone. You can call and get some help, and that can arrive very quickly. But again, traveling, even though we may not have, blizzard conditions happening right now, traveling in these kind of temperatures can be dangerous. And then on the Minnesota side, you can see that we've got some blue on the map indicating some patchy snow. Let's check some of our sites here. Yeah, you can see around Lake Park along Highway 10, that drifting snow. That's going to reduce your visibility from time to time, but what it's also doing again is blowing the snow across the road and creating slick spots and patchy areas of ice as well. Northern Valley, let's check in. Yeah, more areas. Oh, this is the Donaldson area again. I showed you that earlier on. It looks like that blowing snow has increased yet again. And it looks like this vehicle, they have their headlights on, super important. So in these situations, folks can see you. And don't rely on your running lights because they might not turn on, especially, we can see the sun's trying to come out. Might not be dark enough for them to automatically turn on. So make sure you turn your headlights and taillights on so people can see if you're going to be traveling. And then I'll just go back to North Dakota and pull up some cameras here too, especially in that area where we have the travel alert in effect. Let's go up into I-29. Looks like we're seeing, it doesn't look too bad in this little stretch in the Bozeman area, the bridge deck there. Amaretto, seeing okay conditions. Looking a little farther west toward Michigan. Let's head into Grand Forks. Doesn't look too bad. There are going to be moments where it looks like there might be some stuff on the camera dome here that's kind of making that look hazy. But there are going to be moments where you may run into some blowing and drifting, especially when you get into those open patches of roadway. So again, just going to keep an eye on road conditions through today. Want you to make sure you're doing the same. If you're going to be traveling, again, check on roads before you go. And just know it's going to be really cold out there. So have that extra layer with you. We'll get into more on that coming up. So again, winds behind me here. They're gusting into the 30s. And that's going to carry on into the afternoon. We're looking at wind gusts. We'll pull up our graphics full again. We're looking at wind gusts that are going to be continuing into the 30 mile per hour plus mark for gusts. For Fargo, this is our wind forecast for today. Even into later tonight, we'll still have winds in the teens to some 20s, and so that's going to be enough for, again, wind chill factor, but also a little bit of drifting snow still going on. It does start to show signs of easing up, but it's going to be slow heading into tonight. And now let's get into the numbers. So we've been watching our temperatures go down. We dropped below 0 earlier this morning in Fargo during the valley today. We watched that happen, and now we're at 14 below. It's 15 below in Grand Forks, and we've been in the 20s below in Langdon, Rolla, Roseau, Baudette, all checking in at 20 below or lower. The one spot that's still at 0 is Aberdeen in the southwest, but that won't last. Let's take a look at wind chills. Okay, this is the lowest number I've seen so far. Rolla, we've been hitting 50 below for a little while now, but 55 below now, our wind chill there. At 50 below, we're talking frostbite in 2 minutes. So it doesn't take long for these kind of wind chills to cause that. Langdon, 50 below. We've got other places in the northern half of the valley in the 40s below. Fargo now at 41 below for your wind chill, in Detroit Lakes as well. So it's already started. And will continue to be a problem as we head into later parts of the day. I do want to mention, I'll bring up our website again here in just a moment. You can see in the meantime on our radar and satellite map, not a lot going on here. We've got some clouds drifting through. There have been some flurries. They haven't been picked up on the radar that well. And in addition to that, there's just the blowing snow that's getting picked up and blown around too. So I'm going to pull our website back up and just show you that we've had some closings and delays. And what's been interesting about today is that we are seeing a lot of places. This is the forecast from earlier this morning during the valley today. We'll close that out. But we're seeing a lot of places that are doing early dismissal. There's several spots doing virtual learning on Friday. So some reports and announcements coming in for tomorrow already. So if you're wondering about tomorrow for your school, you can head right to our website and find that. That'll be right at the top of our homepage on the website too. So you don't even have to go to the weather section for that. Some places are closed, but yeah, you can see in Bagley, there's early dismissal going on there. Mahnomen, Nadawash, St. Michael's schools, early dismissal at noon today. And the reason for some of those schools to be doing that is because our temperatures are going to get worse through the day. So it was actually warmer this morning. Conditions were actually better, if we want to call it better, relatively speaking, of course, than they will be heading into this afternoon. And so, closing a little bit early to get kids home before it gets too cold out there. So again, that's right on our website. I'll just click on our homepage, show you this here. Right at the top, there's this orange bar, closings and delays, and you can find those right there. Okay, so I pulled up our temperature and wind chill forecast for today for Fargo. You can see where we're heading. Down. We've already been working our way down here this morning, and so we'll just keep those numbers on that downward trend, and those wind chills again, 30s and 40s below for Fargo. Other places are likely to be even colder. Let's take a look at our frostbite risk. This graphic, just a few communities that I've selected here: Fargo, Grand Forks, Langdon. Langdon, one of our places that's been really experiencing some significant wind chills already, and where I expect to see some of our lowest wind chills. And so let's move through time. As we just through the day today, this is what we're looking at. Wind chills that are consistently this afternoon into drive time. I paused the clock at 5 p.m. Wind chills that are consistently in that 40 below range for a lot of places. And then some of us, especially along the border, like Langdon, where we're in those 50s below. So into the 40s below, frostbite can happen in 10 minutes or less, 5 minutes or less in that 50 below range. That doesn't take a lot of time. So, it's kind of sneaky the way that extreme cold works. It's not like a blizzard. It's not like a huge snowstorm with giant drifts that you see and know is a danger. It's the kind that you might think you're okay until you're out in it and you didn't prepare for it. So, just want to stress that again. I know we've gone through this in the valley before. And so we'll get through it, but just want to make sure everybody stays safe in the meantime. Okay, let's move ahead into our next graphic. This is afternoon planner, just a snapshot at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Temperatures, teens below 0 to 20s below, so basically right around where we are right now. And then those wind chills in the pink numbers, again, here's our little legend up here, that feels like around 50 below around Langdon, and then a lot of places in the 40s below. Some of us down by the border with South Dakota, more into the 30s below, but cold for everybody this afternoon. And then just kind of doing an hour by hour temperature and wind chill graphic here. This is this afternoon, heading into the evening hours tonight. You can see that it's just continuing to drop. Our temperatures themselves getting into that 20 below range for a lot of spots, and then our wind chills more consistently mid 40s below 0 to, again, some areas getting below 50 below in the Northern Valley. And then this carries on into Friday morning, where we're talking temperatures 20s below, and again, wind chills that are going to be tough. So that's just, little over the next 24 hours that we're going to be experiencing this, and this will continue on. So I did want to talk about wind chill here, really quick. I know I've heard from people from time to time, I don't want to know the wind chill, I want to know the actual temperature. Well, the wind chill is important. It's something to factor in, just like the heat index is important to factor in the summertime, because when we're talking about how the weather actually impacts living beings, it's going to be different than, say, inanimate objects. And when we produce our own heat, that can be a factor in helping to keep us warm in the wintertime, but it can also get stripped away when we're talking about the wind. So I did want to just, again, go over our wind chill planner. Since I can't step away from the microphone, we'll just pull this back up full screen and step through it here. So again, wind chill is, it starts with your own body heat. So when our bodies start to cool, when we're out in the elements and temperatures that are cooler than us, there's the air immediately around us warms up from our body. So we're kind of in this little pocket of warmer air when this happens, with little to no wind. And so that layer of heat kind of sticks with us if we're not moving. So say it's 20 degrees at that temperature, and we're cooling down. Now, once we introduce, and it feels like 20. Now, once we introduce the wind, what's happening here is that little pocket of air you're in gets broken up. The colder wind blows that warm insulating layer away. So looking at, again, for example, 20-mile-per-hour wind. And so this speeds up your heat loss. It causes you to cool down much quicker and makes it feel much colder. And also in comparison, it also causes your skin to freeze sooner because you're taking away that insulating layer of heat. So it's important to talk about wind chill, because it's really talking about the rate of cooling that you'll be experiencing when you step outside. And it's much, much faster when we're talking about the wind. So it brings us, when temperatures are below freezing, it brings our bodies down to freezing, and our skin, I should say, much, much faster. If you're out there for much longer, obviously it would bring our bodies down to freezing as well. But even just a few minutes can cause that to happen and cause your skin to freeze. So hopefully that helps to explain, and then the wind chill would be a lot lower, of course. So hopefully that helps to explain why we're concerned about wind chill around here in the valley when we talk about it so much. It really is an important factor when we're thinking about, how much time we want to spend outside. Do we need that extra layer? Do we need to, wear the scarf and the balaclava and the extra everything to cover up our faces as much as possible? Sometimes we need more of that because we cool down so much quicker when there's wind. Okay, so there's that. Let's talk about this air mass that's not just affecting us. It's going to really blast through much of the eastern half of the country. The northern plains is where it's arriving first, right here, and then it's just going to continue southward. So once this air mass takes hold, and it already has, so we're already in the midst of it, or it's starting to really take hold, we'll be stuck in this. And I want to point out these colors here. So anywhere in pink, and then the deep purple's even colder, that's where temperatures are below 0 in this forecast. Where we have the white line, that's the 0-degree line, and then up by Casper here in Wyoming, in this part of the graphic, you can see that it's blue. That's where we're below freezing but above 0. So kind of give you a little bit of perspective there. So by tomorrow morning, this is where I pause the clock at 6 a.m. Again, there's our time clock up there. we're looking at temperatures that are not just below zero, but really low, down into that 20 below range. And then, we rise slightly Friday, so those deep purples go away for a minute, but they're not gone completely. By the time we get into the morning hours again on Saturday, pause the clock at 4:30 in the morning, you can see that deep purple again, northern Minnesota, up along the border area. And then by Saturday night, we're seeing that cold continue. So not much change happening here in the forecast through the weekend. I've paused the clock again at 6 a.m. on Sunday. Deep purple there again for Sunday morning. And then even during the day, we stay below zero. This is 8 p.m. on Sunday. It's not until Monday that we see that this white line, again, this 0 degree line. Keep your eye on that as we head into Monday. We're going to watch that creep eastward. This is Monday morning. During the daytime, we get above zero. We'll dip below again once we get into overnight and into Tuesday, but it's much, much milder here in the forecast for Monday compared to where we'll be this weekend. So that's a look at that air mass and how it's going to impact us. And again, just want to talk about wind chill and frostbite times and the importance of paying attention to those wind chill numbers. Again, this morning we've been seeing wind chills in the 40s and 50s below, especially north. And then as we go through the day today, heading into tomorrow, we're seeing those wind chills. Even this is 9 o'clock tonight. We've got wind chills 50s below, and again, that 2-minute frostbite time for around Langdon. Grand Forks could be in that 10-minute range, Fargo as well. And then continuing on into the morning hours on Friday, again, we're looking at 5-10 minutes or perhaps less with the wind chills we'll be experiencing again. So just want to hammer that home. And then the air temperatures themselves are going to be dangerously low. Next couple of days we're looking at here, but Sunday could also be very cold too. Just looking at tomorrow morning and Saturday morning, you can see 20s below, even close to 30 below potentially Friday morning in places like Bemidji. And that's the day, Friday morning, when we may see some of our strongest wind gusts, or I should say, we could see more wind leading to our lowest wind chills. Saturday, I'm not expecting as much wind, but at 20 below, even a 5-mile-per-hour speed can really bring down that wind chill. So that's something to keep in mind too. So again, first alert weather days continue through the weekend all the way into Sunday. So again, here's where we get into those tips. Want to remind you that we want to dress in those warm, loose layers. So a couple of layers, insulating layers that actually trap in the body heat. So that's why we say loose, so that you can trap in a little bit of that warmer air in between each layer. That provides some insulation. And then, of course, your heavy parka, your heaviest, warmest coat on top of that. Cover your skin. Again, I was just talking about making sure you're covering even your face as it's kind of like I feel like that's like the last thing that we cover here. Well, that's an interesting camera shot. We'll go back to the other one here. There we go. So looking at, making sure you're covering up and layering up. Keep pets indoors. That is something I always want to remind you about, especially, I know we have some folks out there who have cold weather pets who like being out in the cold. We still need to take measures to protect them, but especially, our pets with the short hair, those that aren't really bred to be out in the cold, we don't want to have them out there. I know we have to take those dogs out to do their business, but limit that time as much as possible. Bring them right back in as soon as you can. If you have those paw coverings, I know not every dog can tolerate them, but a great idea to keep their paws warm during this time. And of course, protect all pets and take measures to protect livestock as well, as we're in the midst of this. So in addition to that, in addition to limiting your own time outside too, you want to check on your family, neighbors who are more susceptible to the cold. If you have cardiovascular issues, the cold constricts your blood vessels, and so that makes it harder for your blood to flow through your veins and your arteries, and that leads to higher blood pressure. So if you're already dealing with that, so limit your time outside. Definitely want to limit exertion outside during this time because of that. And then if you have respiratory issues too, that cold air, that dry air getting into your lungs can cause issues as well. And then, older folks, little children, babies, they have a harder time regulating their body temperature, so it is harder on those folks as well. So again, just want to take it easy and look out for each other as we've got a stretch here that's going to last for some time. I know a lot of people start to break out the space heaters when we get this cold. that can be dangerous, as we know. We've seen the news stories about space heater fires. I want to be careful about carbon monoxide too during this time as well. So a lot of extra precautions to take during cold snaps like this one. And then in addition to that, if you are traveling, that's the other tips I have behind me here. So we'll bring that up full screen. Treat it like you're going to drive out in some, active winter weather, like you're heading out into a snow event. Because the end result is the same, whether you are, running into snow drifts and can't keep going down the road, or maybe with a slide off, maybe your car has trouble in these kind of temperatures. Either way, you're on the side of the road, and you want to make sure that you're prepared for that, especially in the temperatures that we're experiencing and the wind chills. So have that full gas tank. Never let it drop below that half tank in case you get stranded. Survival kit, extra layers in your car for everybody that's going to be traveling with you. Communicate your travel, so if you don't arrive, folks can head out and look for you. And then have that fully charged cell phone. They do not like this kind of weather, and that cell charge, batteries just do not like the cold, as we know. So that cell charge can drain pretty quickly. So want to make sure you've got that fully charged phone too. So there's our outbreak checklist. If you encounter somebody who's been out in the cold, who's struggling, here's some signs of hypothermia to look out for anybody who's been out there. So confusion, if somebody's shivering, if you've got someone who's, having a hard time speaking. And then in addition to that, sleepiness and also stiff muscles all can be signs of hypothermia. So keep an eye out for that for anybody who's been out in the cold. And here's a look at our latest alerts. Unfortunately, looks like we've gone ahead. So there is a cold weather advisory. I'm going to circle this area here for you, because right now there's an extreme cold warning that you see there. That is in effect for places outside of this circled area, unless something's changed. I'll pull this up. I'll check the National Weather Service. But the area I circled right there, that's actually all under a cold weather advisory until noon today. That is getting covered up by the extreme cold warning. So it's there. It's just getting covered up by the extreme cold warning at the moment. So sorry about that, guys. With us changing over to 11 o'clock, some of my graphics layers changed here. So we are still under that cold weather advisory. Regardless, it's going to be cold everywhere. So once that advisory ends, everybody is under this extreme cold warning all the way through noon on Friday. So that covers everyone here in the valley. And then, yes, that cold weather advisory is in effect until noon today. So just wanted to confirm that's still in effect for the next hour. Okay, so extreme cold warning through noon on Friday. And that doesn't mean that it's going to end on Friday. It's just that, we're still a little bit ways out from the weekend. So we're still under an extreme cold watch from Friday afternoon all the way through Sunday morning. So this lines up with our first alert weather days. And so, again, looking at really conditions that are going to be cold here. Let's go back to that really quick, and then I'll show you the, finicky graphics here. Here we go. Okay, extreme cold watch again for the stretch of the entire weekend. So keep that in mind here as we are working our way through the weekend. Now we'll expand the view. Again, we're under that extreme cold warning in that deep blue there. And then there are places in the south, if you've been on social media at all, you've probably seen people talking about this. Winter storm for southern parts of the U.S. They're not used to it. This is a big deal for them. The potential for heavy snow and ice as well. So anywhere where you see areas in blue here, that's a winter storm watch. That stretches from New Mexico, Texas, all the way up to Boston. And it's in the Appalachians and parts of the South down into Louisiana under this winter storm watch. The red is a winter storm warning that's already been issued. Now, one thing to note, we talked about this yesterday a little bit, that winter weather alert or certain alerts can be different for different parts of the country. So a winter storm warning in the South can look different. The criteria for that will be different than our criteria in the north. So, a little bit of snow, maybe some ice would trigger winter storm warning in the south. And then, of course, here in the upper Midwest, or basically almost all of the Midwest, under cold weather alerts for the Arctic air mass that's taking over. So this is all associated with that Arctic air pushing southward. It's going to be that focal point for the development of this winter storm. And so I wanted to show that to you in case you're interested. Maybe you're planning to travel this weekend, have family, friends down that way. In our hour-by-hour planner here, this is heading into Saturday, moving into the late night hours. You can see that storm developing in the plains and already impacting some of those areas. Dallas, Frisco area, maybe getting ice at that point. And then this marches eastward, heading into, I should say Friday night into Saturday morning. Now we're looking at Saturday afternoon, and you can see, the Tennessee River Valley area, back up to the Ohio, getting snow and ice toward Memphis. And then places, that more typically see snow are getting snow along the Ohio River, but pushing south more into places like Tennessee, they see snow from time to time there, but it is a much bigger deal for that area. And then you see the pink there, which indicates the potential for an ice storm as well, which is bad for anybody here in the valley or all the way down in the south. That's a really tough situation to go through. So this could be really messy for the southern U.S. and affect travel, if you order a package, it might take longer to get to you here heading into Sunday evening, and then into Monday, it's more along the East Coast and into New England before it kicks out. So looking at snow accumulation with this one, there have been some models that have been shifting a bit, and basically where we get that heavier band of snow that sets up, we're talking more than a foot potentially. There could be some, significant melting as well that limits accumulation, but certainly looking at some accumulations that are going to be heavy and extreme for some parts of the South, and then add that ice potential on top of that, and that's going to be messy. So again, that's going to have some big impacts on that part of the country. And then we're just stuck in the middle of the air mass that's helping to create those snow showers. So we won't have a lot going on. It's just going to be quiet, but it is going to be frigid, and that's going to be our danger into the weekend. So behind me here, we've got 3 of our first alert weather days. Today, temperatures have already been dropping. They'll continue to do so. We've got our dangerous wind chills into the 40s to 50 below tonight. Tomorrow could get in, we've gotten to 55 below already in Raleigh. So 55 below, even maybe 60 below, depending on the wind. So looking at a frigid morning on Friday, we're looking at 24 below Friday morning in Fargo, and then Saturday morning around 20 below. Temperatures staying below 0 this whole time. And again, I want to stress that we see this every year where we generally experience a cold snap. We saw one in February. We had that really mild fall. It was another La Nina had a really mild fall, and then we got into February and suddenly it was frigid. And so we had some wind chills in the 50s below, if you remember right. Air temperatures in the 20s below in February in Fargo. So this is similar to that. The interesting thing about this one is the duration. It lasts for multiple days. So we're below 0 this morning. We'll just keep going below 0 all the way until we get to Monday. And it's not going to warm up a lot. We'll get to about 9 on Monday, and that'll be it. So it'll feel a lot better than the 20s below 0, the air temperature, and certainly a lot better than these wind chills in the 40s below, but it's not going to be a heat wave either. We just get some relief is the bottom line coming up for next week. And by the way, next week, the last week of January, we'll pull this up full screen, last week of January, and we'll end the month below average. We'll end the month on that cold note as we expected. But again, more tolerable. By next Thursday and Friday, we'll be back into the teens. But yes, it is going to be a very cold stretch. So I hope that you have prepared for it. And, it's just a matter of, being smart and being careful when it comes to being outdoors here and just limiting your time as much as possible. Okay, so I'm going to just check our Facebook Live here and see if we have any questions. Really glad that our audio was able to be fixed with that changing of that mic. And I don't see anything. Okay, that's good. Hopefully this was good information for you. As we move into the afternoon hours, we'll have more updates from our afternoon crew. Our evening crew will be bringing you up to date on the latest reports as far as blowing snow is concerned. And of course, our latest wind chills as well. That's going to continue to be a factor for us basically for multiple days here. So we'll continue to watch that for you and keep you up to date. You can always check the VNL weather app for the latest temperatures and wind chills and forecasts. And of course, our website as well, where you can check on road conditions and the latest delays and closings. I have a feeling we're going to get more school announcements in the next 24 hours as we look at that much colder air taking over for today. So I hope you stay warm and stay safe. I'm actually just happen to be off this next couple of days, so I'm planning to stay in and stay warm. But meteorologist Summer Shellbach will be here tomorrow morning to bring you an update on the latest here during this time. So stay warm, everybody, and I hope you have a great weekend despite the cold and you have ways to entertain yourselves, indoors. Maybe there's some events and activities indoors that will appeal to you for this weekend while we're dealing with the Arctic outbreak that's once again hitting the valley this season. Hopefully, this is our only one, but we'll, of course, keep an eye out for more of these cold spells heading into the second half of winter coming up. This has been your weather update brought to you by 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota.
There's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.